I'm Leah Bickford. I'm from Dresden, Maine, and I'm a sergeant in the Maine Army National Guard, and this is my son.
I'm Private First Class Audette. I'm a 25 uniform or a signal support specialist in the Maine Army National Guard.
So you just got back from basic training, and so how was that?
Well, for me, I'd say it was pretty easy and pretty fun. I mean, especially doing like all the activities and stuff there. Like, I remember doing this thing called the confidence course, which was essentially like a big like obstacle course where you and your fellow trainees, when you're going through it, you have to kind of like work together to get through all the obstacles. And some of them, sometimes you'll have like, you know, a little hard time, but usually they'll all try and like keep you going, like, yeah, keep going, you're doing it, like stuff like that. So I'd say overall it was pretty fun. I'd say the hardest part is there's this thing, I forgot exactly what it was called, but you have to like climb upside down and backwards on a rope going all the way down, and you have to like, if you go too fast, you get all tired, but if you go too slow, you won't make it in time because then you'll get too tired. But so like, if like at the very beginning, you kind of just like, you slide down really fast, and then at the very end, that's when most of the work happens, where you have to like just, you know, really pull yourself down that rope. But once you get to the end, you know, it's pretty easy. You'll always have like someone, like, you know, you always, even if you like fall, there's always like a safety net or someone making sure that you're safe. It can be one of the cadre or drill sergeants, or maybe even one of the other trainees, but you're always, you know, safe and having fun while doing all that stuff. I was kind of nervous. I mean, you know, it was kind of like my first time like doing this kind of stuff, but once I saw other people doing it and having fun, then it became, you know, less of a challenging thing to get to.
And how did you overcome that obstacle?
Mostly just from my fellow peers who were also there with me. They were really helpful, like pushing you on and saying, let's go. And usually when you would go down, you'd always have the person right next to you, because there's two ropes. And you'd always have another person right next to you going like, come on, don't let me beat you, don't let me beat you, and stuff like that. Because like, we always tried to like kind of make it like a race when it came to like certain things. And, you know, it was just to kind of like make sure we were pushing each other to get to the very end as quick as possible.
So while you were away, there were some tough times, I think, you know, not being able to talk to family and stuff like that. And what were some of the ways that you coped while you were at training?
Well, for me specifically, I like drawing. So during my free time or downtime, I would usually draw in order to, you know, calm myself down or kind of like take my mind away from certain thoughts like that. But also just your fellow peers around you, some of them are probably definitely going through the same thing you would be going through, you know, being away from family and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, you know, talking to them and saying maybe what problems they have and stuff like that. And, you know, on the weekends and stuff like that, where you have the most free time, you're always able to, like, you know, talk to people and be like, hey, how's it going? How are you feeling? And stuff like that. And they'll ask the same thing to you. If you were having, you know, maybe a kind of a down day, they'd like try and cheer you up by, you know, maybe like playing a game in the bays, or, you know, just trying to have some sort of fun. And if you don't know what a bay is, essentially it's like a very large living space, yeah, where you'll be if you're in basic training.
And that is one of the common questions that parents do have is, you know, how do I cope with having my son or daughter being away for a long time? And there's times that they're going to be able to call. Sundays are usually their days that they get their phone to be able to call home. They can do FaceTime. Would you say you were pretty busy at basic training? Did the drill sergeants give you a whole lot of time to think about being at home?
It really depended on the day. Usually if they had something planned, there wouldn't be a lot of time to think about it. But usually on times like the weekends, like Saturday, Sunday, you definitely have a lot of time to think about it. So But also when it's the weekend, so it's easier. But mostly during the week they have a bunch of things planned, so you won't really have time to think about it because it's always go, 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 move, move, move.
Yeah.
And even during those days where like maybe you like start thinking about it, you'll probably have the drill sergeant yell at somebody, and you'll be like, oh, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's nice to make light of things that are happening at training. That's one thing that I know that I did when I was going through training, and both my husband and I both went through basic, and he was in the National Guard. I'm still currently in, so we can kind of take our times that we were in the Guard or at training and talked to him about it before he went down, so he was much more prepared, which is. The recruit sustainment program is really helpful with getting them ready to go to training, so that way it takes the unknowns out of going to training. And you were a part of the recruit sustainment program for about a year, right, before you went to training?
I think so.
And would you say it was pretty helpful to go through that?
I would say it was pretty helpful, especially in like I didn't really know how to handle certain things like land navigation. So land navigation is essentially you have like this map, and you have to like do a bunch of like math and stuff like that. But it's fairly easy, but like at the very beginning it can seem pretty daunting, especially with the large amount of area you have to cover sometimes.
Yeah.
But once you just figure it out, and like you'll probably have a team. So like some people may be better than you are at certain things, so you'll always have that. So you have like more help when trying to like do things like that. Like I remember when I was doing our land nav course during basic training, I was set as the team captain because I was one of the people who actually paid attention in the land navigation class, both at basic and here at RSP. But I had 4 other people with me, and I wasn't really the best at like plotting the points or doing the math, but I had someone who was really good at that, and they were really helpful, and they put points and made like direct lines and like looked at other ways to get to where we needed to go. And we were one of the first teams back with all 5 points that we needed to get in order to pass.
That's awesome. And you were able to be like, ahead of some of your peers when you got to training, so that way you were able to help your peers be successful in taking on more of a leadership role. And that's oftentimes what happens with our recruit sustainment program soldiers that go to training. They're so well equipped because of the cadre that trained them prior to going to basic. They're that much more able to be successful once they're there, and they're able to help their peers as well. And that kind of brings me to another point with when it comes to the drill sergeants, because a lot of parents will come to me and ask, like, how do I know my son or daughter is going to be taken care of? And I was more than willing to send my son to training just because I knew he was going to be in the best hands, literally, in my opinion, in the world. These drill sergeants are trained professionals. They're there to keep your son and daughter safe. They're going to be well fed. They're going to have clothing. They're going to have a roof over their head. And I know Jaden, or my son, has come home with a lot of different stories about different drill sergeants, and the common theme that you'll hear is how much they love their drill sergeants. And it seems like an odd thing to say, but wouldn't you say that you felt like you were in really good hands and that nothing was going to happen to you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially during basic training, my platoon drill sergeant, he was a really funny guy, even though he's a drill sergeant, and like he made us do things that we didn't want to do sometimes. But he was a pretty funny guy, and he was very understanding, especially with certain things. Like obviously, most of the drill sergeants, they will like, if they think they have a problem, they will walk up to you and say, hey, do you have something wrong with you and stuff like that. Because like I remember one time. There was something wrong at home, and drill sergeant walked up and say, "Hey, did anything bad happen on the phone? Is something wrong at home?" And they talked about it, and he said, "Okay, we'll try and do as much as we can for you." So, like the drill sergeants, they're there and they understand like bad things happen at home and stuff like that, and that you're a human, so
Right.
they will always make sure to like try and make sure that you stay in the army and go through basic training as far as possible, or to graduate, because that's why you're there and that's their job is to try and make sure you graduate. But obviously they can't graduate you if you feel like you're being treated unfairly or not right at all. But
Right.
they always make sure and try to make sure that everyone is feeling well and being treated fairly.
Yeah, and they're humans too, and that's a lot of times what people forget with drill sergeants is their fathers, their mothers, their brothers, sisters. They have family at home, so there's that important piece that a lot of people forget is that they're humans too. They're there to do their job as far as taking care of soldiers. And it kind of leads into another question that parents have often is, how do I cope with my son or daughter being away? And it's tough. I definitely, it didn't hit me as a parent with my son going away to training until I got a call from my first sergeant to actually check in on me to see how I was feeling. I had just dropped him off at MEPS, or the Military Entrance Processing Station in Portland, and I was on my way home, and I just burst out in tears on my way home. And I mean, we're all human. We love our kids, and we want the best for them. And I knew that it was going to be a long time for me to not see him. So there are a lot of ways to cope as parents. There's actually a ton of support groups. I actually became a part of a support group while he was away at Fort Jackson. They had a Fort Jackson parent support group, and I was on there. I talked to parents from all around the country, and we supported each other. We shared pictures of our trainees as they were going through training. I actually have parents here in the state of Maine that had trainees at Jackson or Fort Jackson and Fort Leonard Wood. We were Facebook messaging each other, sending pictures back and forth, and we were just so proud to share their experience with each other and be excited for them. When it was graduation day, we were sharing videos of graduation and just our excitement, giving our soldiers now, they're not trainees at this point once they're graduated, but giving them a big hug and just, celebrating with them. And it's definitely, it's never easy when your son or daughter leaves the nest, I guess is what you would call it. And like I said, I did have shed quite a few tears when he left, but the support is really incredible. Like, parents from around the country are there to support each other and to support our trainees as they're going through. And then just having that phone call is huge. Hearing his excitement in his voice about how training's going. I was excited with him. It was almost like reliving basic all over again, and hearing about the gas chamber and the confidence course and going through weapons qualification. And I was just super proud of him. And then I wrote letters. I often wrote to him, and he wrote back to me, was telling me some funny stories about the drill sergeants. And it definitely puts your mind at ease as a parent, knowing that, one, they're sending them out the door, but they're going to the most capable hands in the world as drill sergeants. They're trained professionals, and they're going to take good care of your son and daughter. And that's just how I coped with it. But
So the first phone call for me was pretty tough because, kind of like hammered in the idea that like you're away from your family and stuff like that. But, well, like during the phone call, you're talking about all the things you've done so far, and it's how fun it's been and stuff like that. But for some parents, and it might seem a little weird that your child is having fun getting his face in the dirt doing push-ups, but when you're there, you just have to try and make as much light of the situation as possible and try and make a joke out of things, because that's how me and my buddies at Basic try and went to get through it. But the first phone call does remind you you might be away from your family, stuff like that. I know I definitely had that after the phone call. But when I was talking to other people in the Bay about it, they were definitely saying the same thing, yep, I miss my family too and stuff like that. But we would always say, but it won't be that long till we see him again. So we always try and give yourself positive reinforcement, hey, you're gonna see him again soon. It's not gonna be that long. And usually we'd kind of joke around with each other and say even if we were feeling down and stuff like that, we'd be hey, maybe you'll get some candy in your MRE this time, stuff like that. But yeah, the first phone call, it may be hard, but usually right after you'll feel better because everyone will be joking around and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was on Sunday. It was a Sunday when he called me, and it was just so exciting just to get the phone call. As soon as I saw his name pop up on my phone, I was just so excited to hear from him, and it was reassuring to hear just hear his voice and say, "Yep, I'm doing good. I'm doing okay," and they're treating me good, and it just it's definitely a relief hearing from them. And actually, when they come off the plane, the drill sergeants also have them call home so that mom and dad know that you've made it to training safe, and they're in the drill sergeant's hands at that point once they come off the plane. So were you upset when I left and you had to go to AIT?
Not really, because at that point I kind of knew all right, this is kind of the final stretch. But some people definitely would be a little bit sad. But I know some people are definitely a little bit sad. I personally, I was just happy to get out of basic training, to be honest. But
you have a little bit more freedom once you get to AIT.
So I went to AIT at Fort Gordon, Georgia, where that's the cyber school and signal school of excellence and stuff like that. And for my specific job training, as a 25 uniform or a signal support specialist, I mainly worked on radios and antennas and stuff like that. So when you first get there, there will still be drill sergeants, but they'll be more relaxed because they're trying to get you used to not
a little more freedom.
Yeah, a little more freedom, trying to make you get used to what's gonna be more in the real army. So a little bit more laid back and stuff like that. So they will get you off the bus, and you'll get assigned to your companies and stuff like that. So with my drill sergeant at AIT, she got us up and we went to the company classroom because there will be I'm not sure how it's at other forts, but at Fort Georgia, there's a company classroom for every company, and it's kind of a building off to the side of your barracks. And the barracks are these big buildings with 2 to 3 man rooms, and you'll most definitely have a roommate because you're supposed to.
Yeah.
But it's not like the bays at basic training at all, where it would be 60 to 50 people per one bay. But here it's really just a 2 to 3 man room, so it'll be much easier, a lot more privacy at certain times. But yeah, we went to our company classroom, and obviously a lot of us are all tired and stuff like that because we had to wake up at 2 a.m. and get ready to go and stuff like that. So she caught one of our people, falling asleep, and they just wanted to have fun with the new trainees and stuff like that. So they made us do a couple of push-ups outside. But after that, she introduced herself, and we introduced ourselves to her, and yeah, it was pretty nice and stuff like that. She explained what we were going to be doing, how it was going to be and you get a lot more freedoms there. And eventually usually the longer you're there, the more freedoms you'll get over time, because then they'll trust you more.
Right.
And they'll see that you're being a good soldier and stuff like that.
One thing that you kind of think of as a parent is when they're going off to training is, are they going to be, are they going to be mature enough and able to handle themselves away from me or away from, their dad or whoever. But that's what the drill sergeants are there for. They set left and right limits, just like we do as parents. We to keep them safe and to keep them uniform. And because I know, like, when you had called me at after Thanksgiving and you said, well, we got in trouble, they took our phase badge, this is so awful, I hate it here, saying those things, but they were doing that to continue to instill that discipline so people weren't going off the cusp and possibly getting injured or getting dehydrated or going off post and getting in trouble. I don't think they allow people to go off post, but
not currently.
No.
But it'll come back after the COVID pandemic lifts.
Yeah. So that's one thing that parents do ask me though a lot is just, what's going to happen to them? Like they're not going to have me there to hold their hand or to help them make decisions, but the drill sergeants are there to. It's kind of a good way, a good method, in my opinion, as a parent, to know that, yes, they're leaving the house, but they're going to a place where they're going to have adults around them 24/7, literally. They're there watching them, making sure that they're coming, they're clean, hygiene-wise. Their uniforms are clean, which, I do laundry, so that's a good thing. He learned that before he went to basic, but they're doing laundry, doing their own laundry, taking care of their stuff. Everything needs to be dressed. Their beds are made. So instilling that discipline and knowing that they have adults there to instill that discipline and to keep them safe, and knowing that they're going to march them to and from chow, so you know that your son or daughter is going to be fed. So that's important too. Or getting an MRE, meals ready to eat, which is your favorite. You get the candy in them, so that's good too. But yeah, just knowing that they're going to be safe, and you're not just, okay, you're 18, see ya, going out the door, and you have no idea where they're going to go or the house that they're going to get. One thing that I was excited about is my son was very disciplined in saving his money while he was at training, so he's able to buy his first car when he got home, and he got he also saved all of his money while he was away at training, here and there. He bought a real nice gaming laptop, but other than that, he saved his money. So he has, if he wanted to, at this point, he could, get his own apartment or put a down payment on a house. So knowing that he has that is, it's a huge relief as a parent, knowing that if he wanted to leave, he could, but and he has the financial means to do that.
So when it comes to my friends back home, obviously there were certain things I was definitely a little envious about when scrolling through social media and seeing what they were doing. Like, I have a friend who's like remodeling a bus into like a home so he could like live in, and I was like, that's really cool, but I can't do that here. but yeah, and like obviously some friends, they're having parties, going to the beach and stuff like that, but I'm just kind of like stuck in a room or stuck raking leaves outside. But I thought about it, and like when I thought about it, I was thinking like, I'm gonna be more well off than maybe some of my friends, because I'll have like a lot of money and stuff like that, and you can't really spend a lot of money when you're there. What you can, because I bought that gaming laptop. That was a good investment.
He did ask me before he bought it. I was like, you're an adult now. You can make that decision.
but yeah, like, you'll have a lot of money when you get out and stuff like that, and obviously with certain benefits you can get from the National Guard. You can basically go to college right out of AIT if you wanted to. But I'm kind of taking a break from learning and stuff like that because
Just spent this past 6 months learning and
Very
training.
But yeah, I'd say even though like I would definitely rather be doing something else than maybe standing around in formation for 30 minutes, waiting for one announcement. But just eventually after all that is done and said and done, you'll be better well off at the end of the day. So I was envious, but I'd say I was probably well off than some of my friends were.
In our household, we have chores. For everybody has chores. We have 6 children total in our household, so we have to keep things pretty. We spread things out as far as being fair and doing chores. So he does dishes, he does laundry, takes out the trash. What else do you do? You clean the basement stairs. There's just we have a whole slew of chores that they do on a regular basis. And actually, just recently, my husband and I took a trip out of state. It's the first time we've ever left our kids home alone. But I knew that my son was going to be more than capable after coming back from training. He was in leadership roles while he was at training. And he's been a brother for, a long time, big brother. So we were able to leave and have full confidence that he was going to be able to take care of, all of his younger siblings. And he cooked dinner. He made sure that they did their chores, and took care of the house, all the animals. And we came home and everything was literally spotless. He did a fantastic job, took care of everything that we asked him to. Of course, we checked in with him every day to make sure everything was fine. But he took care of everything, and responsibility-wise, he's right up there where you would want your son or daughter to be when they're 18 years old. So
when it comes to home time and drills and stuff like that, currently. Right now, my current drill schedule is one time every weekend.
One
one
weekend
time,
a month.
one weekend every month. And sometimes like you'll have to do like weapons qualification, which can take 4 days, because that's what I'm going to do my next drill, because I just recently came.
You just had drill this
I just
past
had drill
weekend.
this past weekend, and our next drill is going to take us down to Vermont to do our weapons qualifications, and that's going to take 4 days-ish. So I'm going to be there, 2 extra days, but
It's extra pay.
It's extra pay, and
You get to go shoot some cool weapons.
it's true.
So
But yeah, usually it's only 2 days.
one weekend a month.
1 weekend a month. So
Yeah.
it's really not that much, but.
Yeah. So it gives you time to go to college, or you can get a full-time job. You can go into the trades. I know another soldier that just came home. He went to school to become a plumber, and he was actually offered a job like pretty much as soon as he came off the plane. So that's something that you can do. Just hop right into a full-time job and then do the 1 weekend a month, or go to college, or I know like my son's taken a little break in between. He was gone for a good chunk of time there, because he did have holiday block leave, so that extended his training out a little bit longer, where he came home for Christmas for 15 days and then went back to training. So that pushed his training a little bit farther than what it typically would be. So he's just taking a little bit of like a gap year right now to decide what he wants to do. And he saved some money up, so he's able to easily pay for, he came home, he bought a brand new cell phone, all on his own. Was able to upgrade to iPhone 12?
Yeah, from an iPhone 8.
From an iPhone 8 to an iPhone 12, so he decided to upgrade his phone. And he's hopefully going to get his driver's license tomorrow. We got a test tomorrow for that. So he's got time. He's got time to get some driving time in. And he's looking at different jobs right now. both in along the lines of his job as a signal support specialist, right? And I don't know, what are some other jobs that you're looking at right now?
Well, currently, like, just kind of like close jobs for now, just
Yeah.
like close to home, just so I can get my footing and stuff like that. Then once I get like all situated and stuff, I'm either thinking about going to college or getting a full-time job somewhere in the civilian force. But when it comes to like college and stuff, like, you only have to take one weekend out of the
Right.
month, so you can basically just go to college the entire time. Like, it's
Oh,
really
yeah.
not going to be that much time.
No, it's just that one weekend, and we do have the ability, if for some reason you have something going on drill weekend, you need to miss it. You can do what's called split training, where you can train with your unit like during another day in the month, or you can get excused if you have a wedding or something going on in the family or a funeral. And so there's that possibility. There's a lot of flexibility with the Guard when it comes to once you're back at home, and you get it's time to get reacclimated to being a civilian, because I know I had gone through it, and I know that my son's kind of going through it as well, trying to get reacclimated to not knowing exactly what you're going to be doing every day, and a drill sergeant telling you this is what you're going to be doing today. So he's taking that time to kind of get reacclimated into civilian life and looking for jobs, which there's plenty of them right now, but he'll be able to pick and choose what he wants, and he now has veterans preference with civilian employers, so he has the ability to have his resume written where he has leadership skills that he got through training. He also received college credits while he was at basic training in AIT, or his job training, so he has that to add on to either his resume or his transcript if he chooses to go to college. He currently on your joint service transcript, I think you have probably 10 or 12 credits, I think, to go towards a college degree. So a lot of people come to me with the concern of what if I miss college? But you might be missing like some normal college courses, but you're actually going through training that is equivalent to college credits, and the joint service transcripts actually transfers those military credits onto your college transcript at whatever college that you're choosing to go to in the state of Maine. So he has a lot of different options. He can go college, he can go trades, he can go into the workforce. He has tons of options, and it makes it easier for him to be able to look at all of his different options and decide, okay, do I want to go towards a college degree, or do I need to think about one thing that he's really interested in is history. So he's thinking about possibly going to college to become a historian or a history teacher. But this is giving him the opportunity where he could maybe go and sub in a school as a substitute teacher, where he could sit and maybe try it out and see if it's something that he truly wants to do, or if he wants to go down a different path. Like maybe, he really enjoyed signal support, doing that MOS. So he might be looking into like computer jobs or something along those lines. But he has all these different options now that he's gone through training. He has the finances to get to where he needs to go. He has his car, soon to have his license, and then he can start to make those choices, his adult choices. With the Guard, we do have the tuition assistance waiver. It is an application process. Everyone's guaranteed to have that when they come back from training. What we do is when they come home from training, we have them go through gold phase. When they're a gold phaser, they actually learn about all the benefits that they joined for. So the college benefits, they're there for them when they come home. Their tuition is going to be paid for, and they can actually get paid with the Montgomery GI Bill to go to college. So college can get expensive, and for a lot of people that can be intimidating when they're already, leaving high school and they're like trying to figure out how am I going to afford college and how am I going to afford to drive to college or how am I going to buy groceries. We have the ability of paying you to go to college through the GI Bill. And then the tuition waiver. And we talk about the whole process while you're in gold phase so that when you get to your unit, you can already just have the application all filled out. We teach you, where it needs to go, the process, how long it takes, and we help you with getting those benefits so that way you don't have to try to figure it out on your own.
Feels pretty nice knowing that I basically have just like a free way into college, essentially, just like to go in there and just learn what I want to learn. Because as she said, I'm a really big history buff and nerd. Like I can talk for hours about it. But yeah, it's nice to know that I can like just go to college and like try and go for what I'm trying to go for, which is a history teacher for like a school and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just really nice to know that I have that option to go for.
Yeah, and as a parent, knowing that he's going to have that available to him, where he's not starting off life with a bunch of student loan debt, it's definitely a reassuring thing as a parent, knowing that your child's leaving, or he's in the Guard, he has the financial means to go to college, and he's not starting off life in debt. And it just gives that strong beginning of their adult life to be able to have no debt. Because I often see this picture of a son coming home from college. It's like a meme, I think. He's carrying a big bag on his back, and it has student loans, is what it says on the bag. And they're coming back to their parents' house, and they're asking, why are you coming back here? And the son or daughter is saying, like, I tried, Mom and Dad. I went to college, but I have so much college debt now that I'm trying to pay that off, and I can't afford to own my own house, so I really need to move back in with you. And of course, we as parents, we're absolutely going to do everything possible to support our kids, but knowing that if they're in the Guard, they have that opportunity to start off their life debt-free and get paid to go to college is an incredible blessing, and it's just a great thing knowing that they're going to be taken care of. So there is the college first option where your son or daughter, when they come back from training and they're going to college, they'll have 2 years where they're in a non-deployable status. So they can get those first initial 2 years of college out of the way. Another thing that a lot of people do, a lot of soldiers actually do this, is they'll continue taking their college courses while they're in a deployed status, and during their downtime they'll work on it. And many colleges are very flexible when it comes to soldiers being in a deployed status or even being on orders. They can either discontinue or disenroll them without any penalties or repercussions to your son or daughter while they're at college. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then maybe like the online can help facilitate online classes.
Yeah. In the online portion, because a lot of colleges are online, it makes it that much easier to do college from anywhere in the world. And they are able to bring their laptops, their personal laptops, when they deploy, so you don't have to worry about, well, will they have access? Are they going to have enough time? Because when you're in a deployed status, you do have downtime. It's not like just straight, you're working 24/7. You do have downtime while you're overseas or maybe in another state if you're deployed to another state. And oftentimes soldiers choose while they're deployed because they're away from their home life, their jobs, everything's busy here back at home. They actually choose to do courses while they're overseas or while they're in a deployed status because they have more time. I know, like, I'm a mom, so if I were to get deployed right now, I would take college courses to get closer to my degree because when I'm at home, I just don't have the time. I've got animals, I've got kids, I've got, my full-time job. So trying to take college courses on top of all of that can make it really difficult. But when you're focused, when you're over in a deployed environment, that's, you just have your job, your tasks that you do during the day, and then you have downtime where you can go online, do your classes then. So when it comes to deployments in the National Guard, every unit comes into a deployment. They have a deployment cycle. Every 5 years, a unit is looked at as a possible deployment asset for things like an engineer unit. My son is in an engineer unit, so he's with the 133rd Engineers. His job is actually in a support position, with being signal support. He's there to support units and setting up radios and doing that. So, but going back to the deployment timeframes, every year the unit is looked at, but it's not necessarily going to deploy. So there's that possibility as well. And as far as I'm losing my train of thought. Hold on. Where was I going with that? So there's a lot of possibilities when it comes to deployments with the Guard, because we have a state and a federal mission. The governor can actually put us on orders for the state side to help out with like civil conflict. What is it called? Civil disturbances. They can do help out with civil disturbances. They can go on orders to help with COVID. That was just recently done. We had several soldiers on COVID orders. And then the federal side of things is that's that 5-year rotation that I was talking about. They're looked at and they're sent to, we currently have a unit on the border. They're doing border security. So we have the ability to be looked at to do things like that, border security. And we have another unit that's about to go to Poland. So we do have those rotational units that were looked at, and the National Guard Bureau decided, okay, yes, we want to use that asset to send them over to Poland. So that's how the rotational or the deployment rotations work in the National Guard. If your son or daughter is deployed, we have what's called the family program in the Maine Army National Guard family program. They also have a youth program as well, and they have a ton of resources. The Yellow Ribbon program is part of it as well, and they support you as the family member or family members. They give you, they send you resources. They might send you letters. They have different events while your soldier is deployed to give you updates. They have what's called the Family Readiness Group. At each unit, a Family Readiness Group member will have your phone number. They'll give you information about your soldier, what they're doing, how to get in contact with them. If you're having trouble getting in contact with them, there's multiple different resources to make sure that you are well taken care of while your soldier is gone, and that knowing that he's going to be okay, I can reach out to them anytime. And if I'm having trouble getting a hold of them, they can help me facilitate getting me in touch with him.
When I consider the possibility of being deployed, I'm a relatively laid-back person. So like most of my life, this is just how I was raised. I kind of took life how it was, and if I had to do something, I was gonna do it anyway. So there's no getting out of it and stuff like that. But of course, I know that some people might, have a harder time accepting the possibility that they may be deployed, and that is true. That there can be scary stuff that happens there, but you will always have your fellow comrades by your side, and your NCOs will always try and take care of you. Like, I know my NCO at the moment, Sergeant Jellison, he's a really good guy, and he's like, during my first drill weekend, he made me feel really welcome to the unit and stuff like that. So they will always make sure that you're okay, and that obviously it's our job to make sure that our fellow comrades get out of situations that could be, you know, dangerous, out alive with them. Like, that's literally what we were trained for and stuff like that. It's like, at basic training, one of the first things you learn is basic first aid. So, like, how to put on a tourniquet, how to bandage someone, how to make sure that if someone does get injured or harmed, like, what they need to do to make sure that they stay alive. Like, it doesn't matter, like, where you are, you will always be in good hands, even if it is, like, someone lower rank than you, because they will always know, like, at least basic first aid.
Yeah. And that,
So-
sorry.
So, like, you're always in good hands no matter where you are. Like, you'll always be pretty much probably one of the safest people
Yeah,
in those situations.
I find, and that this was another reassuring thing for me as a parent, is I look at the National Guard and the service members that are in it as more like brothers and sisters, and you know, we're there to take care of each other. And I knew that as from my own personal experience. So knowing that my son was going to join, and he was joining basically, you know, a second family. That we're all in this together. We're here to, you know, protect our state and country together, and to serve. So it's good knowing that he was going to be taken care of. And I know Sergeant Jellison very well. He's a very respectful, respectable NCO. So I was super excited to hear that he was going to be Jaden's direct line supervisor as a signal support specialist. So knowing that, you know, he's going to that unit and he's going to be well taken care of by everyone there is very reassuring. So being in the Guard or being in the military, any branch of service, there's a risk that you're taking when it comes to going in, you know, when it comes to when you're deployed or when you're in a training status where you might get injured. But the way that I look at it from a parent's point of view is that, and from really my own point of view, is that I think with life there's just always going to be risks. I mean, we could get in a car accident on the way to work one day. You know, there's always risks when it comes to doing certain occupations. And a lot of people, they get real nervous about just the aspect of, well, you're going to deploy, you know, or they're going to go to training, and, you know, what if something happens to them? But I can say from a parent's perspective that that I know that, you know, my son could get, like I said, in a car accident on his way to college or on his way to his workplace, because it's you know, texting and driving could be, you know, that's a risk factor as well, that some of us take. We shouldn't, but there are risks that do happen, and it's just natural, you know, life in general when it comes to, we want to try to mitigate risks. With the military, though, we have so many safety precautions in place, and I can say this, like, you know, looking at my son and saying, like, okay, well, you know, he's going to be putting up that radio tower over there. What could happen, right? You're always thinking about the what ifs or the unknowns that could happen to your son or daughter. But I know, personally, from personal experience, that we have what's risk factors, and we use matrices actually in the military where we mitigate risks in a lot of different situations. And we do it when we're in a deployed status as well, all the time, to mitigate risk. One way that we mitigate risk on, like, the civilian side is, like, we're not going to text and drive, or we're not going to talk on our phone and drive. We're going to be vigilant. We're going to be awake while we're getting behind the wheel. So we mitigate those risks on the civilian side kind of on our own on a day-to-day basis. In the military, they're very strategic in how they're mitigating those risks by using a risk assessment. And we use them, like I said, all the time for any type of training. I mean, even in a teaching environment, you know, watch out for the cable on the floor, and they'll say it at the beginning of each class that you go into, and you probably did this at basic and AIT, where the drill sergeants or the instructors were like, okay, well, these are the risk factors in the room. You know, we could have a tornado come in, or we could have, you know, we have this weather going on. And then the military does things to mitigate that risk of, okay, so if we have a tornado coming, we know that we need to have a shelter. Well, where's the shelter? We talk about where the shelter is. Same thing when we're overseas. There's mortars, if there's mortars coming in or something like that. We have the risk assessment that that lowers that risk so that you know where to go and what to do to be safe.
It's not because my mom made me. But so my family does have a little bit of history with the military. I know that my great grandfather fought in the Civil War at the Battle of the Round Top, and he was he fought for the Union, and he he charged down the hill with Joshua Chamberlain and him, and both my great grandparents fought in World War II for the Navy, which it's not the Army, but still it's the military,
Yeah.
But yeah, they were like really big inspirations for me to join up because just trying to keep the legacy going, and then obviously my mom's in the military, obviously, so that was another big reason, and all the benefits and stuff you can get from it as well.
Did you always know you were going to join, or was there a bit of a battle in your head of will you, won't you?
So I was, again, just because of how I am, it was kind of just like I'll take life how it goes type of situation. Like if the situation seems like, I should join the military or I can go into the civilian force right after high school, I could do either. But I mean, to me, I just felt like the military was the best option at that point. So.
Yeah, you can also talk a little bit about your what was going on with high school too.
We don't talk about that.
Or you don't have to. It's up to you.
We don't have to.
But okay, well, yeah. So the reason why I thought it was probably the best option to go for was I wasn't really doing too well in school, a little behind on work and stuff. But and the Army kind of gave me a reason to catch up on all my homework because if I didn't graduate high school, I couldn't go. So
Yeah.
so they gave me a reason to finish up my high school work and stuff like that.
Could you speak on kind of the processes of what going from maybe not being as involved in your senior year of high school to thinking about the military to how that motivated you?
So high school for me was, I only really paid attention to one class, and that was history class. But for the rest of the class, I was completely bored out of my mind. That's why I wasn't really getting anything done and stuff like that. But and I didn't really have a goal to reach to, except for graduating. But even that wasn't enough. So I decided, well, if I make my job the goal, what should it be? And the military, obviously, you need to graduate high school in order to go, and you need to make sure everything's good. You have your diploma, you have your ID, and all that stuff. So that kind of gave me a reason to plow out all my work before I left for a basic training and graduate high school.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fantastic story. And sorry, Bickford, when his not doing too hot at the end of senior year, him wanting to join, that whole process, how was it to you as a parent, as as a soldier already, to hear this from your child, they want to go down this path?
I was really excited when Jaden chose to go into the Guard, just because I knew that it would give him a goal that he needed. Kind of drew that line in the sand of, okay, this is where I need to get to, and how do I need to get to it? Well, I need to get my capstone done. I need to get caught up in these classes. So once he had that goal in his sight, then he was like, okay, that's where I need to get to so that I can become successful.
And I don't think I'm breaking ground by saying you're probably very proud of your son. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, I mean, to say how proud I am of my son, it's just impressive, you know, like to see your son go from, you know, baby all the way up, and then seeing him make this choice of going into the Guard to better himself, to help with his confidence, and to set goals and learn leadership skills, and knowing that the benefits he was going to get from all of that, to better himself and better equip him to be a successful adult. It was just it was super exciting for me. The day of his enlistment, I was down there at MAPS. Of course, you can't be inside when they're raising their right hand, taking the oath to enlist. But I was watching him on Facebook Live, and I was just had this incredible sense of pride of, wow, that is my son that I raised, and he's in there enlisting to serve his state and country. So it's a pretty incredible feeling as a parent. With annual training, it happens once a year, typically in the summertime. That's our prime time training for the National Guard. That's when we can be outside because it's warm, so we can dig in the dirt and do all of that as you know, engineers. And so Jaden, or my son's first AI or AT is going to be it's sometime this summer, June or July. And he's going to be gone for 2 weeks, and they don't typically come home during that 2-week time frame. It depends on what the unit is doing for training. I know for his unit, because I came from there, they typically are out in the field, so they'll stay out in tents. They set the tents up. He'll set up radio towers for them to communicate, and they're just doing their job. Whatever they joined the National Guard for, they're doing that for the 2 weeks that they're on annual training every year.
So, at the the ceremony at the very end, like at basic training and AIT, it was kind of like a how would you explain it?
Is it like a sad but happy feeling?
I guess something like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I went through all of that, and now I can say that I can wear this as a soldier and not a trainee. It's like, it's a different feeling. And it just kind of feels like, makes you feel like special in a way, like just a little bit. Like, I'm slightly cooler than the average person, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I know
pretty
you.
nice.
I know you were looking to you wanted to get the uniform on when you came back from training, and he's pretty excited. We're setting up something with Halldale High School where he'll be able to go in where he graduated and do a lunch visit in uniform and be able to say hi to his friends, and they'll be able to see him with his uniform on, and it's just an exciting thing for him. I think I've seen a lot of pride with you, wearing your uniform and being able to say that you're part of something much bigger than you were before. So,
Before I came in, I still am a little bit now. I was extremely introverted. Like, I would not talk to people. But now I'm still a little introverted, but I now have the capabilities of if I meet someone new, I'm able to talk to them a little bit more. Be able to open up quicker and faster than I used to, a lot more confidence with when it comes to social interactions and stuff like that. But when it comes to just things being hard, let's say I'm doing something hard, and back in the day I would be like, oh, I don't want to do this, I'll just go find someone else to do. But now I'll be like, yeah, I could probably do this fairly quickly and stuff like that. But it might be a little challenging, but that's the fun in it and stuff like that. I look forward to doing it and stuff like that, rather than something that I have to do.
Yeah. Before he went to training, he was definitely, like he's saying, a little more introverted. He had some friends, but not a lot that would come over to the house. So this kind of brought him out of his shell for sure. I've definitely noticed a difference with, with him talking to other people, talking about the Guard, talking about his experience at basic training and job training. It's pretty amazing to watch your son or daughter go away to training as one person, and then they come back. They're not an entirely different person, but they have the positive parts of being away from home and learning, discipline and respect and hard work, really. And another thing that I'm noticing in going into schools is, kids are so used to being on their phones, and that's like where they live. They're on their phones, and this gives them an opportunity to break away from that lifestyle. And a lot of it, with COVID too, being stuck at home. This has given him an opportunity to leave that for a while and just take a break from the redundance of doing the same things every day. And he's definitely changed and become a stronger individual.
Before I, went to basic training and AIT and stuff like that, just talking to people like outside, like my people that I know, was like really hard for me to do because I wasn't really one to like socialize or like talk to people because I would always be like very, very quiet, like mumbling words and stuff like that because that's just who I was back in the day. Like I was just really hard to talk to. And but once I went to basic training in AIT, there was a bunch of super extroverted guys, like gun-ho, ready to meet and talk to people. Like, even though they were doing push-ups, they'd still be laughing and stuff like that. And I kind of like, one guy in particular I remember, his name was Oliver. And I actually have his contact number because he's a really nice guy. He like, when he would be talking to drill sergeants, he'd try and like crack jokes at them with stuff and try and get them to laugh a little bit, which, it's hard to do. It's kind of a risky thing to do sometimes, but like, he'd always like try and crack jokes and stuff like that and like make people laugh. And like, so one time he was like one of the stronger guys, right? And like, so one day he walks up to me, he's like, and he said, because he's from Alabama, so he's from lower Alabama, so he has like the deep Southern accent. He walks up and he's like, Audette, come arm wrestle me real quick. Because we were doing like arm wrestling matches in the base and stuff. And I was like, no, I think I'm fine. He was like, oh no, come on. And he edged me on, and I went up there, and he was like, all right. So everyone come watch. and pretty much everyone in the bay came over to watch us. And surprisingly, I won that arm wrestling match. And
Surprisingly.
I was like, whoa. and he was like, man, you've been the only man in here so far who was able to beat me. And I was like, what the heck? Like that made, and that made me feel good and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And because like, and like kind of maybe,
Boost your confidence.
Boost my confidence, something like that. Like, he was always the guy who would always make sure like everyone was okay. Like he would always like come walking over, like say, hey, you okay, buddy? You okay? I know it can be tough sometimes, like stuff like that. He was always like trying to make sure everyone was all right. He was like the guy everyone knew and stuff like that. Like you can go and talk to if you felt like sad or something like that. You could always go talk to him. Like he was always like an open person, mm-hmm. and like that kind of he kind of made me want to be like him a little bit because mm-hmm. like he would always be like this outgoing guy who would always like kind of like push the drill sergeants a little bit, but also like make them laugh, and so like he actually was one of the people at the very end. So at the very end of basic training, like the drill sergeants will like ask you to like come up and like do impressions of people at the company, including drill sergeants, and he immediately got up and said, "Where's Audette? Get Audette up there," because I had a really good voice of our captain, and the entire company knew at this point that I had a really good voice of our captain, and like everyone was like cheering me on, like, go up there. And I went up there and I started doing my impression, and everyone just went crazy, laughing and like smiling and stuff like that. So, like it kind of helped me like break out and like be a little more like extroverted, I would say, like
Yeah.
a little more like ecstatic, like excited, like trying to do stuff like that. So like he was one of like the bigger helpers and like trying to like get me more out there myself and stuff like
You
that.
definitely meet a lot of different people with different characters from all across the nation. So you kind of build off from their character and kind of add it to your character a little bit. So when you come out, when you graduate and you come home, those are those little bit of changes that you see in your soldier when they come back. So
Friends that I met in basic training, obviously I don't know them by their first name. I only know them by their last name. So I would always refer them to their last name, and they always refer to me as my last name, Audette. So like it was kind of weird getting used to that, but eventually I just completely learned, like people just learned talking to people by their last name. And surprisingly, when it came to like personality-wise, I kind of gravitated towards the same, like some of the same like personalities that I did in high school, because like obviously they were more mature at that time. It was like a more mature version of my high school friends, because like Oliver, the guy I was talking about earlier, he was like the class clown of the platoon, and one of my friends back in high school, he was the class clown too. Like everyone knew him as the funny guy, and like always cracking jokes and stuff. And like I remember one time we were in a classroom. This was when I was still in 4th platoon before I moved to 1st. Oliver was like, the drill sergeant was like saying something about like rubber duckies and stuff. He was like, I want you playing with these rubber duckies, because like rubber duckies are what we like call like fake weapons, like weapons made of like rubber and like plastic and stuff. And Oliver says, but drill sergeant, I play with rubber duckies in the bathtub. and he completely made the drill sergeant like crack up, like laughing and stuff like that.
that
like,
doesn't happen often.
Like it was completely out of the blue. And like I had my friend in high school. His name was Jacob. He would always be cracking jokes in class too, making everybody laugh and stuff like that. So, like, and also I had like friends that are like really good with art and stuff like that. So at basic, there's this guy who actually went to like an illustration school. So, and like he was super good at art. He was I forgot what his last name was, but he was originally from, I believe, a South American nation. He immigrated to the United States and joined the military. And he was a super cool guy, really good at drawing and stuff like that, really relaxed. And he was super cool and super nice and stuff like that. And like we would talk about like drawing and stuff like that. Went back when I was in 4th platoon. And then when I moved to 1st platoon, you always have like that friend that, you know, he's kind of hard to get along with sometimes, but like eventually you all laugh at each other at the end. And that was Guillory, the Louisianan. Oh my goodness. Like he'd kind of be the guy who'd get our entire platoon in trouble, but also like he was a funny guy at some point. So like sure, we would have like a hard time getting along sometimes, but you know, like at the end of the day, he was just trying to make us laugh, and we did laugh at it sometimes, you know. And there was this female, her name was Pepper. Pepper was like, she was like actually a really big like motivator for like the entire company, because she was when she was actually doing I think it was practice for the ACFT, I think she actually injured her leg, and you know, usually when you injure your leg at basic training, it's like you're gonna have to stay here longer and stuff, but she actually said no, I'm gonna keep going and stuff like that. So like even though she was on crutches and stuff, she was actually like pushing herself, trying to keep herself on the same path as everyone else, and she actually made it all the way through training with crutches. Well, like halfway through it with crutches, and even though her knee was still messed up afterwards, because it was her knee, she dislocated her knee actually. But it popped back into place like right after. But like obviously she still had problems with her knee. But she completely passed the ACFT. She was like one of the best people in our company, and she also graduated with us. So she was like a very big motivator. And you know, like same thing, friend group back in the day. Always like people in high school like trying to motivate you to like say, hey, like, you know, try and keep going, you know, and stuff like that. Like it seems like there's just, you have everybody like from your old, you can either have everybody or like some people of your old previous friend group like still somehow there at basic training. So it's like it doesn't feel like you're like completely alone, that you don't really have any friends you can connect to. But again, the military is very diverse because like you always have people from different backgrounds and stuff like that. So you never know who you might run into. You could run into someone that you don't like, or you can run into someone that you really like. It's just really up to you, and you'll always have friends.
So when you join the National Guard and you have that opportunity to leave the state and get away from the normal like day-to-day routine, maybe go try, you know, different state with different weather, like Fort Jackson was pretty humid, pretty hot when he was down there. And you're kind of just getting away from that routine and what you do as, you know, yourself. Character development is definitely a huge thing when you're at basic and job training, because you have the character development through the training process, you know, just going through like weapons qualification and the frustrations you might run into while you're at training. And then it builds your character so you're a stronger person after you leave. And the drill sergeants are a big part of it as well. They're there to tear you down, but they're going to build you back up. And it's the same thing with your battle buddies. Your battle buddies are there all the time to support you and get you through training. And they're all there for the same thing and the same goal. So just making it to that goal, and you're constantly you're giving them support, they're giving you support, and then you have this whole other diverse group of people that turns into more like family. I've seen a lot of pictures of my own soldiers coming back from training, and they're, you know, hugging their battle buddies and crying because they know that they're not going to see them for a while. And a lot of times they'll fly like to their different states to see each other because they made such a strong bond while they're at training, that they want to continue to have that relationship with that person. Because there could be like certain things that happen at training, like someone gets injured, like Pepper at training, and she might have had battle buddies that were like, you know, pulling her along and helping her develop and become stronger, and then become successful and make it through training. So then you come back home with all of that learned, and then you can do it back here in Maine, and you also have the ability, which is nice in the Guard, where you don't have to stay here in the state of Maine. You can go to other states. You can do what's called an interstate transfer. So if you say you made like best friends with someone from Alabama, and and you're like, man, you know, I really want to be around that guy. I want to be part of that National Guard. You can leave the Maine Army National Guard and go to another National Guard once you're in. So there's that possibility and flexibility as well with our contracts, where you can break it to go to another state. If I were to, I talk to a lot of parents and about the National Guard, if I were to say anything to any parent, this is an incredible opportunity for your son or daughter. They have college, they have the character building, you have knowing that they're going to be safe in the drill sergeant's hands as they're leaving the house. And it gives them that start in life that you know that they're going to be good. I mean, knowing that my son is going to be debt-free, he has money in his bank account to start off life. If he wanted to get a home, or he wanted to go to college, or whatever he wants to do, I know that he's set. And there's a lot of unknowns when it comes to after your son or daughter graduates, you know, like, what are they going to do? Okay, so they've got these different options and they've got that. But when you're with the Guard, you know that they have a multitude of different options. You don't have to worry about them getting health and dental. They're going to have that with the Guard. You don't have to worry about them doing it full time and being, you know, in a full-time status. They can choose to do that in the Guard, but they have the opportunity to do that, whereas in other branches, they're going to be gone for, you know, a long period of time. So I always encourage parents to explore your options with your son or daughter, talk to the different branches, and see which one is the right fit for you. But I might be a little biased because I'm in the Guard, and my son, you know, he's in the Guard now too, but the ability to be able to break your contract with the Guard, like you come back from training, you're like, I don't think I really want to do this full time. Where, that's what I did at first. I went full time, and then I realized I don't really want to do this. I'm deploying every other year. I've got kids. I've got, stuff going on at home. I was able to have the ability to try it out. He has the ability to try it out part-time, and if he chooses to break our contract and go active duty, he can do that. So it's just a huge benefit for your son or daughter to be able to take advantage of, and to serve your state and country is just an incredible opportunity. And the friends that you make along the way are amazing. And it's just it's a great opportunity. I'm so happy that my son chose to do it, and I know that his future is set. He has the ability to go out and buy a house. He can use his VA home loan to go and use to buy his first house, and get his college if he wants to go to college, or he can work full time. So the amount of opportunities that you are giving your son or daughter to join this part-time service is well worth your time in talking to a local recruiter about. Absolutely.
So, for people like thinking about going into the Guard, or just trying to do something like that, like I would say, once you hit like basic training in AIT, I would say one of the biggest pieces of advice I could give you was to just take every day how it is. Like, obviously, you should only focus on the day you're in right now, because tomorrow could be a different day, and like stuff like that. Like, don't let the day that you just experienced affect your next day, like stuff like that, because it could be different. It could be a good day, could be a bad day. Just keep going. Like, just because one bad thing happens, that doesn't mean like a bunch of bad things are going to happen afterwards. Just keep going. Just keep pushing through. Like, obviously, like you have people there to help you out and stuff like that. Like, you won't ever be alone in like a bad situation, because let's say like at the very beginning you're gonna feel like just a bunch of bad stuff happening all the time. The drill sergeant's making you do push-ups and stuff like that, like all the time and stuff like that, but they're making everyone do it. Mm-hmm. So you're not truly alone in like these bad situations, and like you're probably gonna have to laugh at it the end of the day and stuff like that.
I would just say, like, as a last piece, that the Guard is just, it's like I said, it's a family where we take care of each other. And at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, like, when you're talking to other branches, other services, and trying to make that determination of what do I want to do with my life, knowing that the Guard has these different benefits and can truly change your life, set you up for 100% success. And the flexibility of it just makes it that much better. And being able to serve is just an incredible honor and a wonderful opportunity for anybody to take advantage of. So I think that we can both say that it's something that we encourage everybody to look into, to definitely think about it a little bit harder, like not think about the military as a second option, but think of it more of a first option, because you have everything that you need to be successful going out the gate. You're becoming an adult in these hard times that we're in right now with COVID and everything else going on. It can be so difficult to try and think like, okay, well, do I want to go with a trade? Do I want to go to college? I really don't know what I want to do. So just taking that time and just, going away to training, seeing and meeting different people, and getting out of this day in, day out environment that we're in right now is just a great opportunity to take advantage of. So I definitely encourage parents and their sons and daughters to talk to a local recruiter and find out if this option is a good one for you.